5 ways to navigate health and fitness over the festive period. We're talking about Christmas. Navigating health and fitness can sometimes be a little bit tricky. What is December typically for you?
December, in one word, rum. Sometimes maintaining is actually still progressing. Because a lot of the times, if you're actually maintaining through a period where you know it's going to be challenging to maintain, you're making progress. It's very difficult to get rid of the progress that you've made. Like, it's not as easy as people think.
There's a big difference between planning ahead, being sensible, going to an event, versus going all in off the back of it, like starving yourself.
So I think having that purpose is so key, because then the things that you might consider distractions, actually it's easier for you to be like, it doesn't align with my path.
Hello and welcome to the T2 Fit Talks podcast, where we aim to educate and inspire individuals to achieve their full potential. I'm your host JT, and it's episode 20 here on the T2 Fit Talks podcast, and we are looking at 5 ways that you can navigate your health and fitness during the festive period. And to do that, I'm joined fresh off the plane by T2 Fit's very own Kasim Aseni.
Yes, fresh off. That's
So,
good, man.
How are you?
Good, man. Very good.
Acclimatized into the cold?
Yeah, literally. I was telling JT, like, literally landed this morning, that cold hit me. It was more the ice on the car, like, back to that. But yeah, feel good, man.
Yeah,
feel
6 a.m. land. That was spicy.
Oh, very,
well.
man. Very blowing the cold air. But I was good. Feel good.
What was the heat over there? What
33 degrees
33?
in Lagos. Yeah, 33. But like hot. It's funny because so in the morning she'd ask, what's the weather like? I'm like, you know that pink in the brain? Same as it was yesterday. Hot. It's hot every day, trust
It
me.
must be so nice to actually just wake up and you just know it's going to be warm.
Trust me, literally, like, you know what's going to be. Like, it's going to be just standard. It rained once, but the rain was like rain, 5 minutes, stop, sun back out. So that was it, but that was really good. Really good. Feel
Now you're
fresh.
locked back into the British weather.
Straight back in, man. But it's good. Like I said, ready to get back in, finish the year. Like, you know, with what we've got coming up, and especially the festive period, got good stuff to look forward to. So yeah, excited.
Nice. Has the cold made you feel Christmassy? Or not yet?
Not yet. I haven't seen that many trees. Hopefully from Sunday, because Sunday, December, I haven't seen that many. I saw one tree in the airport, but like, I think from December the 1st Sunday, trees gonna be popping up. We get a tree. We need to get a tree in here. And then yeah, we're putting our tree up in our house on Sunday. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's gonna be exciting for the kids as well. But yeah.
Are you big into Christmas?
I love it.
Yeah?
I love it. Home Alone, all those songs, Jingle All the Way. And now where the kids are older, my kids are getting older, like the gifts and stuff like that for them, I'm excited to see it. I told myself, I'm trying to get a Santa outfit. Remember you had that one? You still have it? The Santa outfit that you had that time when we did that promo.
That was Luke's big old puffer jacket.
Yeah. But I'm trying to get a Santa outfit, because I want to pretend that I'm Santa and do it. But I don't know if it'll work, but we'll see. Yeah. But
if you do,
excited.
you have to come to calls then.
Yeah, very excited this year for Christmas.
Awesome. So we're going to go through 5 ways, and there's a number of little subsections at the back of this, but 5 ways to navigate health and fitness over the festive period. We're talking about Christmas, typically a time where a lot of social events creep in, time spent with friends and family, that kind of stuff. But navigating health and fitness can sometimes be a little bit tricky.
100%.
You know, food choices, beverages hanging around, you know, just a bit more than normal. So we've got 5 things here that we're going to kind of dive into a little bit, and hopefully it will help some people out. So the
100%.
first one we got written down here is actually, I guess, understanding what the goal is, what the aim is, and managing your expectations over the month of December. And having a plan is number 2, but also having a bit of a plan off the back of it. So when it comes to managing expectations, for the most part, I guess we're going to be looking at either maintenance, or some people could be still looking for an element of progression. How do you go about figuring out, I guess, which one of those 2 camps you want to sit in?
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, it's funny actually, man, I just thought about it now. Well, I was speaking to someone the other day, I said sometimes maintaining is actually still progressing. So again, I look at it from like a financial perspective. You know, your money depreciates every year or whatever. So if you have £10 today, it's not the same value in 2 years. But if someone says to you, okay, this £10 now, you can hold it and actually hold the value, and you take that all day. So a lot of times when people look at maintenance, they look at it as not progress or not going forward. Because a lot of the times, if you're actually maintaining through a period where you know it's going to be challenging to maintain, then you're making progress, because you're in a better position than you were before that. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I think it really depends, like you said, on what the goal is, what you're trying to do, but also being realistic with what your time, what is happening around that time. So if you know, okay, your calendar's ram-packed with meetings, outings, parties, whatever, your activity levels are going to be changed, diet's going to be changed. You almost kind of think, okay, realistically, what can I expect to do? If that's maintained, like hitting your 3 sessions a week, hitting your cardio, conditioning, having some balance with nutrition, then that's perfect. If you know what, my lifestyle doesn't really change much around this period because, again, some people don't celebrate Christmas, some people just feel different around the Christmas period, then you can look to progress. But I think it's just like you said, being realistic is a key thing. And also just having someone who you can bounce ideas off, like not a coach, but who can put that in perspective and say, actually, in actual fact, you doing this is great for you right now. Whereas if you're aiming to do this, like, I'm going to do 20,000 steps a day, it's cold as hell out there. You know what I mean? So just being realistic with certain things, I think that will help. But having that goal and having, again, a conversation around what your calendar looks like will help you then dictate, okay, am I looking to push? Or am I looking to kind of hold where I am now? Because if I finish December in this period, I've still made progress because I haven't gone back, if that makes sense.
It does. And I guess, can you progress and still have those social events in the calendar?
Yes, it's a very good question. And I'll be real. I'll give it on. It depends on what you want. Mm-hmm. If you're someone who's like, Mel did a photo shoot. If Mel was doing a photo shoot through December, and she said, all right, I want to go out 10 times on a bender, have pizza, but still do this. Realistically, she's not going to make the progress that we want for Mel. If progress to you looks a bit different, that's why I think context is very key. It depends what progress to you looks like. If you're saying, okay, you know what, I want to increase my bench press by 0.25 kilos. That's something that can still be done even if you go out. Obviously, performance will hamper it a little bit, but it's realistic. If you're saying, I want to drop this much, I want to drop 5 kg by Christmas or by December, but you want to kind of be in a calorie surplus for all of December, and it's not going to work out. So I think, again, it comes back to like that thing that we spoke about in the beginning, is understanding what you want, being realistic with that. If I say to you now, JT, all right, I want to be a millionaire, but I want to spend money in Louis Vuitton every weekend, you'd be like, it's not going to work. There needs to be some balance. So I think a lot of times it's when people will say, okay, this is what I want to do, and as coaches, we want to help that. We want to give you balance because life is short. We want to give you that balance, but that's why we always have that conversation with them, like, okay, what's more important to you at this time now? Is it this or this? Because if going out and stuff is more important to you, enjoy that. Like, develop that. Don't try and make yourself feel bad. Whereas if your goal is more important to you in that moment, we have to make sacrifices. And I think that's a lot of things. Sometimes some people don't want to make sacrifices, but if the goal is that important to you, you won't see it as a sacrifice, as a means to an end, basically.
What is December typically for you? Is it a throwaway month where you do enjoy that time, or is it? I guess it's varied over the years, but typically, what is it for you? How do you manage it?
That's a fantastic question. To be fair, I'm the kind of person where December, in one word, rum. So 2 words, rum and ginger beer.
Yeah.
Now, but December for me, even if I look at my calendar now, literally, I think I've got something, like even 2 things every week. So it is a lot of catching up with friends. It is a lot of going out, drinking. December's the only month where I don't really drink much. I mean, I drink occasionally, but December is a month where I'll probably have a couple more drinks. So it is literally just about friends, family, catching up, just spending time with people because, again, everyone's a lot freer in December. There's a lot more activities happening. And my family, I've got like 4 birthdays in December. So so it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot of festivities and stuff like that. So, but with training, I've always tried to keep some balance of training in November. Like 2 of my photo shoots, I did it in November. So I've always kind of tried to, when I finish them, to kind of still keep consistent because I do find it hard sometimes if I don't train into December. It's hard for me to keep that consistency. I can just be like, I'll start in January, but I might just do 2 sessions as opposed to doing 3. So I try my best possible to keep training into December. But generally, to answer your original question, December is literally about just, again, friends, family, having a good time, just enjoying myself really. And obviously now with the kids, spending more time with them, taking them to see stuff like, that in London and stuff like that. So it's stuff that I wouldn't really do throughout the year, but during the festive period, I like to dabble.
So if someone was maybe for the first time looking to actually really either knuckle down or stay very, very consistent through the month of December, and I guess either hasn't really had to say no to certain things before, or like I said, this is the first time navigating, really holding themselves accountable to something. Are there any top tips for that person or those people out there who they really do want to stay a bit stricter with themselves coming into this December?
Yeah, I think I'll say two things. I'll be interested to know what you think. And the first one, I read something recently. I can't really remember what it said, but I'll paraphrase it. It was talking about purpose. It said if you have a purpose, distractions don't really, it doesn't really come into your peripheral. It's like negligible. The purpose is so key. You know, if you have a purpose, I always say, if I say to you now, Jay, so I want you to walk down this road, turn right, go left, and at the end you're gonna meet a man who's gonna give you a briefcase with this much money in the back. You're gonna walk, no matter what happens. Hannah might come to you and say, "Oh, let's go here." Nah, I need to go this way. Whereas if I just say, "All right, you know," if you kind of walk down that way a little bit, then you might see you don't really have a purpose. So if Hannah comes and you're like, "Okay, well I can do this and I'll come back." So I think having that purpose is so key, because then the things that you might consider distractions, actually it's easier for you to be like, it doesn't align with my path. That makes sense. So that's the first thing. If the purpose isn't strong enough, or if you don't buy into it enough, then that's kind of your clue there and says, okay, maybe I need to either re-examine that purpose, or I need to think of something that actually connects with what I want. Does that make sense? Because if it doesn't, then there's no point. And then the second one I'll say is actually having open and honest conversations with people, you know, like a family, a close circle, and be like, okay, this is what I'm trying to do. This is the reason why I'm trying to do it. Like, support, because family support is so key. Anytime I've ever done any kind of photo shoot or diet or whatever it is, my family's been heavily involved, or they know about it. So particularly my wife, because she's in the house, so she knows when Cass is doing this, okay, this is how it is. The date nights are probably going to be limited. Dinner's probably going to be, you know, I'm having my own dinner. We're having separate dinners, we're eating together, but she understands that. She's not like, oh, why can't we just do this? Why can't we do that? Because that'll make it harder on me. So I think it's really important to have that conversation with people close to you in your inner circle. So number one, you're accountable to them. But then number two, they have that support, because that support is so key. So have a conversation of what you're trying to do, why you're trying to do it, and get them bought in, because, yeah, the support will make a massive difference.
100%. So when we think about managing expectations, obviously we've kind of spoken about, I guess, just the month as a whole. What about a session by session basis? So, you know, if you are going out and enjoying certain social events, some food does creep in, some drinks do creep in. Sleep might be slightly disturbed, or there might be a different routine to normal. So you're going to feel potentially different. Yeah. How do you manage expectations? How do you manage, I guess, still some success and wins session to session? Yeah.
Again, I think it comes back to that thing we spoke about, is in terms of looking at maintenance as not that you're falling backwards. So look at your maintenance in this scheme is actually like you're still holding progress. It's going to make progress. But like you said, I think, like, obviously we do know that drink, lack of sleep and stuff has an effect on performance. Like, it's proven. Like, endless research has proven that alcohol has alcohol has a knock-on effect on sleep. Lack of sleep has a knock-on effect on performance. So it's a vicious cycle. Like, we know what it is. So I think it's one of those things where if you're someone who's, obviously people know themselves, some people can go on a bender, come to the gym and smash out. Some people generally can't.
I'm not that person.
Yeah, literally, I'm not that person either. Literally, the last thing, if after I want to do is a conditioning session. But I think it's understanding, like you said, is okay, what is my output going to be? What am I going to be like? And then coming in and having that understanding. Or even before, I'd even say when you're looking at the week ahead, if you are looking, okay, I'm going to train these days, try not to, if you can, put in days where you might be going out before that drinking session, or, do you understand? Because you know it's going to have a knock-on effect. So almost trying to maybe get your session done in a week, so that then by the weekend, that's when you're going out, because then you've kind of given yourself a bit of a buffer and then your performance isn't affected. But even if you do, like I said, coming in, seeing how you feel, like warm-up sets, something we do here is, warm-up sets, getting a feel for it and being like, actually, okay, this is where I'm at, I feel all right, go for it. Or actually, I feel a bit, it's not going to be there today. And then coming back, like, obviously, we're not going to lose all that progress just from one session where you had to drop weight. So I think a lot of times, and this is something we'll discuss, is people think one instance will kind of clear all that work you've been doing. I always tell people, it's very difficult to get rid of the progress that you've made. Like it's not as easy as people think. Like, people think, okay, like, you know, one bad session, I've lost all my gains, all my muscles gone. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. We all have sessions where we're not going to be at 100%. So I think it's just understanding that and being like, okay, what can I get the most out of this session? Move on to the next session. Do you know what I mean? It's literally looking at it session by session. It's not looking at it as, oh my gosh, this is the end of it. No, it's one session, tick the box, on to the next session, look at it. So I think once you look at it with that perspective, you actually just see it as, okay, one session, if I don't hit what I hit last week, it's not the end of the world. I can get it next time.
Yeah. You know, I completely agree. I think it's definitely just reframing in your head what success looks like 100%. For that session, that hour, whatever it could be. And as you mentioned earlier, quite rightly so, just turning up and enjoying the community even could be a huge win for that session. You kind of mentioned on kind of looking ahead at your week, which ties us perfectly into, I guess, the next one, number 2 here, which is having a plan. Having a plan. The first thing, and again, here at T2, obviously we have a system where you book sessions, and I think getting those sessions booked in ahead of time, in advance, so you got them locked in, and I guess making an agreement with yourself that you're going to commit to those sessions. There's a little bit of flexibility, of course, so having a plan B, maybe even a plan C is going to be helpful there, the ability to adapt, but you know that you're going to commit to those sessions and you've planned your week as best you can, right?
And I've received the benefit of that the past couple of weeks where I've booked sessions in, and you're like, in the back of your head, you're like, okay, I've got to go. It's 7:30, it's dark, you're sitting there, you're like, oh, I could just do watching a bit of TV right now, but because you booked that session in, you definitely turn up. So yeah, I can definitely attest to the power of having that accountability and that booking on there.
And we're going to talk about nutrition to a certain degree, not in loads of depth, but one of the things that we can really utilize at this time of the year, and any time really where you have social occasions, is calorie banking. So give us a kind of a brief overview of what calorie banking is, I guess. Yeah,
calorie banking. So let's say, I like to use realistic kind of, so let's say you've got a budget of £2,000 for the week, okay? You've got a budget of £2,000 for the week, but you don't want to spend it all on Monday, but you know that on Friday you're going somewhere really good where you want to spend it on there. So you might just spend a couple hundred, and that just leaves you enough so that on the weekend you then have more money to play with. So same thing with calories, you know, obviously when we look at fat loss or whatever it is, look at energy balance. So in a day, you're just trying to manage that energy balance so that if you're trying to lose weight, you don't go above it. Let's look at it from that perspective. So it's just a way of people to, throughout the day, manage their calorie intake so they don't exceed it, basically. So it kind of gives you a bit of flexibility. So like I said, if you've got a family dinner, if you've got something where you know that you're going to have to expend a lot of money, so your calories are going to be a little bit higher, you can just kind of save it earlier in the day. And then that kind of just means that when you get there, you have a bit more. But how deep are we going with this calorie banking? How going deep, or how deep are we going?
A little bit, you can go deep.
Okay, cool. I think with calorie banking, it's one of those things as well where some people don't utilize it properly. So some people they won't eat the whole day. And then they get to the evening and then, you know, they go crazy because obviously appetite. So I think with calorie banking, it's good to work with a coach, work with someone who's done it, because there are ways in which you can do it, in which, like I said, you don't just get to the end of the day and you're starving and you end up eating the whole world. Like people that do intermittent fasting, and then what they eat in that time anyway, you might as well just eat throughout the whole day. So I think with these kind of things is strategies and things that we utilize with people who want a bit more balance, but it's also about, okay, utilizing it properly. So if you're going to be calorie banking, you know, having a lower protein, obviously we talk about options, so having a lower calorie option meal. So you're still eating a meal, still feel full, because look, a lot of people think, okay, I'm just not going to eat anything for the whole day, and I'm going to go to a Christmas party and then enjoy myself, whereas it doesn't really work like that. We're still trying to keep some balance throughout the day, just keeping it more sensible so that at night we'll have a bit more flexibility. But the aim is not to take the piss, because then, again, you're kind of defeating the whole purpose of what the calorie banking gives you in terms of flexibility and having more options throughout the day.
Yeah, and I think with the calorie banking, it's really important. It is something ideally you want to try and plan in advance for. So you're reducing calories leading up to an event, and sometimes these things happen a bit ad hoc. So okay, you've got to make some changes, but there's a big difference between planning ahead, being sensible, going to an event versus going all in, but then off the back of it, starving yourself, which is really unhealthy and actually probably has more of a negative
Yep.
stigma to it
Yep.
attached.
Yeah.
I guess the question off the back of that for me is, do you need to be tracking to calorie bank?
You don't need to be. It just makes it more accurate. So like you don't have to be like if you're someone who just says, okay, instead of having 2 brioche, so some people, we coach people here, instead of having 3 brioche runs, just have 1. So you don't need to track. You can just say, okay, I'll just take away. Whereas some people do track, and I think both will work, and it depends on the individual, what their life is like. I'm always someone who, I don't like room for error. So I always like to know, okay, if you're going to budget, so if we're doing a budget, you want to know where the numbers are, what's coming in, what's going out, so that it's easy for you to make adjustments. Whereas if you guess, it's harder. Like I said, I just come back from Nigeria and I just used my dad's bank card because I didn't have any cash. I haven't got an account yet. And so literally every transaction, I wrote it down. My dad's the same. My dad literally could tell me to how much to the naira I spent. But then again, if I didn't have that, I'd be like, oh, well, I think I spent, and I would, even now I started to look over, I was like, okay, how much did I actually spend? But if I didn't have any sort of like means of tracking that, I could not go to him and say, actually, okay, this is how much I spent, what's the balance, etc. So tracking, it gives you that accuracy, it gives you that confidence to know to a certain extent. Again, tracking isn't 100% because accurate, but at least it gives you a 99.1% chance of saying, okay, this is how much I might have eaten, so this is how much I can play with. Whereas if you kind of freestyle it, you can still do it, but it just makes it less accurate. But again, if you're someone who that's okay with, again, remember we talk about purpose, what kind of person you are, what your goals are. If that fits with what you're on, 100%, you don't have to track. But if you're someone who wants a bit more accuracy, then tracking will help.
I mentioned very briefly earlier about having a plan B and then maybe even a plan C option, having the ability to adapt. Let's say I have a session booked in on a Monday morning, that's my go-to session, but something crops up. I'm hungover from Sundays doing something.
Yeah.
Does my plan B and potentially even my plan C, does it have to look identical to that Monday morning session to still be beneficial, to still have me kind of moving in the right direction? Does it have to look identical, or could it be something that's close, still maybe gets me moving? It might even look slightly different, but there's still a level of activity there, something that's still going to be somewhat productive. Like, does it have to be the same?
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think to answer your question, I'll come back to that. So just please make sure I come back to that. But I think a lot of times when people look at stuff like that instance, or training or diet or nutrition, they look at that 7-day window as, if I don't do the stuff in this 7-day window, I failed, right? Whereas I said to someone, so imagine you're training for, let's say, a year. Don't look at it as a 7-day window. Look at it as this big block of 365. If you don't train for 1 day in 365, is that much of a difference? It's nothing. What they call it? It's a pebble in the ocean.
Yeah.
Whereas when you look at it, 7 days. If I miss 1 day, it looks grander. So if I miss 1 day in 7 days, oh my gosh, I've dropped the ball. I need to start again next week. Whereas if you look at it from a 365 perspective, like, it's nothing. So to answer your question, if you wake up like you're not feeling it, you're not in a good way, if you have to go to plan B, if this plan B is a walk, if plan B is, or plan C is just let me go for a swim, let me go something, in the grand scheme of things, 365 is okay. And I think the more we can look at it from that big perspective, it helps you be more consistent. When you look at it from that 7-day, you think, I've effed it. I'll start again next week. Do you know what I mean? Whereas when you look at it from a bigger perspective, like, okay, actually, as long as I hit 300 days, it's still good. Again, that's still a positive, that's still net profit, which most people would take on any given day. So I think having the ability to have that backup plan, do something that allows you to still maintain. Remember we said maintaining, and most times is still making progress, is very key. And not looking at it as, I missed a session, I'll start again in January. Yeah. We can't, because we keep doing that. Like I always say, it's that instance where, someone says, if you had a flat tire, we just say, slash all of them. You know what I mean? It's like, you should just fix a tire. So it's exactly that same way. It's just looking at that plan B still allows you to, the plan B, plan C still allows you to make some sort of maintenance, which in the long term, you're still going in the right direction anyway. So I think it's very imperative to not be fixated on, okay, this is how I have to do it. Like, again, we all like training at certain times, but if you can't train at that time for whatever reason, You need to be able to adapt. It's very important for you to be consistent. You have to be able to adapt.
Yeah, agreed. And you mentioned earlier actually that a few times now you've had photo shoots come in around the kind of November time.
Yep.
Have you ever flipped it? Maybe it's not a photo shoot, but an event or something where it's early part of the next year, like a Jan, a Feb, a March, even in April, May, that you've put in the diary on purpose to maybe kind of, you know, hold back a little bit over this kind of time of year? Can it keep you focused, keep you in check a bit more?
Even with the triathlon that I did in September, that was kind of with that in mind. I knew, okay, that January period is a period where, you know, it is like people either hit the ground running or you're like a bit kind of sluggish. Like, okay, next week. But I knew I had that propensity to be like that. I had a propensity to put other things in the way, work, program. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of things that can get in the way for me. So I thought, okay, if I have this, I have to start. Because the swimming, like I couldn't swim. So I knew I needed to get my arse in gear. So booking that there was with purpose of, again, you always speak about that stretch goal. Having that stretch goal just allows you to make sure that you are doing something. Again, it doesn't mean that you need to do it now. You just know, okay, in the back of my head, this is where I want to get to. But that stretch goal just keeps you accountable for the periods where you might not be on it, or you might not, okay, this is going to be a challenging period for me to train. But having that stretch goal there, and so again, something that's, it has purpose and stuff like that, it just keeps you accountable. Like, okay, no, I don't really want to do this right now, but because I have that, I'm going to go and do it. So yeah, 100%. I think it's a massive, and that's why this year I haven't got one yet. I'm still thinking. But yeah, it makes a massive difference in just terms of keep you accountable and consistent throughout that period where you might not naturally be. Yeah. Have you got one next year, actually?
The goal, I guess, initially is February, the holiday.
Yeah.
But in terms of event things, there's still a possibility.
You're going to Cancun, right?
Yes.
I'm trying to say that JT should be wearing like Speedos.
No one.
I said no board shorts.
No one needs to see that. Trust me. No one needs that. No one needs that. I mean, if I'm rocking single digit body fat potentially, but apart from that, it's not going to happen.
Photo shoot on the beach, man.
Photo shoot's not going to happen. But yeah, there's still a possibility that Copenhagen High Rocks in March might happen.
That's good.
I'm waiting to see if Luke and Liam get a under 117 this Friday, tomorrow.
So if they get under 117,
I said to them, if they get under 117 doubles, I'll book my ticket to Copenhagen.
Hey, Luke, Liam, you know what to do.
So
man.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
What to do.
But other than that, I'm not quite sure. There's chatter about an Ironman. I'm not sure. I'm not sure 2025 is that year. At some point, it's going to have to happen. I'm not sure when though.
That's
I'm
crazy.
not sure.
Do you cycle?
I mean, I can ride a bike. Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
I've got the bike. I've got all the kit.
Have you?
Yeah. I did all that kind of stuff. But I'm not sure 2025 is that year.
Yeah, that looks like it takes a lot of time.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, I need to be in the right place to commit to that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that next year is that year.
I need to get one, man. When I get one, I'll let you know. I definitely need to think of something.
Yeah, we'll do a little T2 one.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a perfect time as well, just to kind of bring up the fact that Hannah mentioned to me earlier that she's got a half marathon booked into the diary.
When?
Next year in September.
Is it?
And she was telling me earlier about that she needs accountability and people getting on top, like, you've been out for that run yet? So she's booked it ahead. She's
meant to do Harrods, wasn't she?
It's coming. I've already spoken. I've already spoken to her about it. It's like, if you're going to be in half marathon shape, then you got to get a High Rocks done. So we're looking at London next year. So just putting it out there now that if anyone sees Hannah, comments,
get on her.
Anything like that, you make sure you keep Hannah accountable.
If you don't see Hannah running out there, get on that.
If anyone listens to this and they want to see Hannah document the entire experience from now till then let us know. Comments in, hands up. I'm keen.
I'd watch that.
So let us know. So there's a little bit of accountability there for you, Han. Just to put it out there.
I'd watch that, Han.
All right. Okay, we're going to move on to number 3. Sorry, Han. Number 3 is don't sabotage yourself.
Yeah.
Have you ever been at that point? Because I know I have.
Oh yeah, 100%. My wife watching this could tell stories, 100%. I think, again, coming off a photo shoot, that's the hardest bit because you ultimately reduce your eating for, let's say, 16, 18 weeks, and suddenly you don't have that accountability or that purpose. So like literally food is, I had a sugar headache. Have you had a sugar headache before?
I don't think I have.
Oh man, I had a sugar headache where literally, I think just the carbs I consumed, I had to Google it. And literally, I think just my blood sugar, literally, I had a bad headache. Literally, I had like sandwiches, donuts. So it was bad. But as in, again, I think it comes back to that mindset of, okay, this is going to be one day. Like looking at it as, okay, one day, let me get within that one day. Whereas again, when you look at it in a long perspective, you just give yourself, you're a bit more liberal. I think when we look at stuff with a small microscope, it's easier to sabotage because it's like, oh, one day or 7 days, let me get this within. When you look at it from a big perspective, that's why I tell you it's very, to sabotage or you know, whatever your diet, your progress, it is very, very difficult. It's something you have to do consistently over time. So one day, off day of, and I don't even like to call it off day. When people tell me that their off day was they went out with their family and they had a pizza, I'm like, that's not really an off day because you're a family having a good time eating pizza. If that's what you call an off day, do you know what I mean? Like, off day for me, off day for me is where mentally I know I'm meant to be doing X. So I know, okay, this is what I'm meant to be doing. I purposely go to the extremes and do Z. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like, it's like, okay, I know I should be doing this, but I'm like, forget that. I'm purposely going to do this, but to the end extreme. That's an off day. An off day isn't just like my wife saying, oh, should we go to the movies and I get a bag of popcorn? That's not an off day. Do you know what I mean? I think it's looking at it like that. So I think a lot of people reframing that will help. And again, like I said, it's something that takes practice. It takes a while. It takes experience as well. Because now I've experienced times of that. It's easy for me to be in a position now where I know, okay, how not to get to that position, if that makes sense. But yeah, what was your one, the granola one?
Oh no, mate, the granola's light work. That's not sabotage. That was me thinking I was doing a good job. I mean, that's
it's healthy.
There's no sabotage in that. That was me with a pat on the back. I was like, yeah, I'm crushing this, and I was not crushing it. You mentioned earlier about having a purpose. I think the times where I've hit sabotage mode, and probably not even just from a nutritional standpoint, but the nutritional thing probably stood out as a prominent thing, was when I just was going through times where there was no real purpose. Like there was no real goal to train towards. Maybe I wasn't that happy with what I was doing work-wise or just where I was in life at the time. I think we all have those at some point. And looking back on it now, I'm like, yeah, I genuinely probably sabotaged that. And going back to your point that you made earlier, it's not just one off day. This is your stacking days. This is like day after day, and then I've had a bad week here, therefore, well, another week won't hurt. Oh, I've had 2 bad weeks. I'll start in a month's time, and then you get 3 months in. It's like, whoa, this is escalated pretty quickly. And I think when it comes to sabotage mode for me, I always think, oh, why did I do that, or why did we do that? And I think it's just so easy to, I guess, rationalize bad decisions to a certain degree. Like we're so good at it. I think.
100%.
Like we can always reason with ourselves and go like, oh yeah, like that'd be all right. I've gone this far. One more won't hurt. But then you catch yourself in, they say like 2 months time, 3 months time, and it's escalated pretty lively.
You're right. You're right. We can rationalize anything. Like anyone can make, okay, that was the right decision because blah blah blah, or because I felt like this. And you know, when we talk about this stuff, you know, it's so deep because there are so many, you know, histories and reasons behind why people do certain things. So we never try and say, okay, you should do this because blah 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 blah. But I think what it comes back to is, like you said, the purpose. Once you have that purpose, I think that helps you keep that focus. And then it's easier to do things that align with that purpose. Whereas if you don't have a purpose, I think it's almost as important to understand, okay, I'm not purposely training for this right now. What am I training for? Because there's always something, but it's important to identify that purpose, because then even if you have a pizza, you don't feel bad because it aligns with your purpose. Whereas if you feel that in your head, I'm training for this and this is what I want, like I say, let's say if someone says, okay, I'm training to lose 10 kg, this is what I want, but they haven't really embedded that purpose into them. When they have something that goes against that, they feel bad, and then that could lead to further sabotage. Whereas if they actually know what I want to do is I just want to train to feel healthy, I want to come to gym, see my friends, and they've ingrained that is their purpose, this is why I come to the gym. if they have a pizza, they suddenly don't feel, they don't have that guilt anymore because it doesn't go against their purpose. But I think it's like I said, when people feel like it's what they're doing is going against what they should be doing, that's when the feelings come in. But like I said, it's deep. I would love to. It's something I'd love to explore more because it is such a deep topic and it's something that, like I said, a lot of people go through. But yeah, definitely, like I said, we've all been in it. You learn, what I always say is that you learn lessons, like triggers. So what is your trigger? Like you said, one of your triggers might be work. I remember mine, Thursdays when I used to come home from Nuffield, Thursdays was the longest day. I would always stop at the Shell petrol station, get a Cornish pasty. But it's because of that feeling, I was like, okay, I've had a long day, I deserve something to make me feel better. So it's analyzing that trigger. So what do? Either I go a different way home or I just don't take my wallet so I don't have to stop off there. So it's learning what triggers you, what kind of, if it's emotional, physical, whatever it is, and working with that and going down a better route, I guess. So
yeah, I think for me a lot of it was just sometimes just never really having a plan and it always being an afterthought. And then one of the things I wanted to mention, because it has been this way for me, but I know it's something for a lot of people out there that I've spoken to client-wise, that at some point during, let's say again, we'll use December as an example, at some point like a week or 2 weeks into December, they jump on the scales and they see a number has shot up. And maybe they haven't even been that bad, but there's been a few higher calorie things kind of creep in and they see that number creep up and it's like, this is insane, like where has this come from? And then that maybe triggers something, whatever that may be, and it becomes a bit of a downward spiral. But I said I've been caught in that trap before and I'm like, that makes no sense. And then you become a bit disheartened from the work that you have put in and the times that you have said no. But it's then just having that sensible head on going, well actually there's no way I've put on body fat in this time. I wouldn't have lost muscle, my fitness will be there. I just probably don't feel that energized from the choices that I've made. I'm holding more water weight because I've had maybe more carbohydrates or whatnot. I've maybe moved a little bit less, but that number unfortunately tells quite a negative story 100%. And then it can send us into a bit of a negative spiral, right?
100%. And this is what comes back to when I said about this, why I personally like to track, because same thing, if you just check your bank balance once a year, you're like, what the flip? It makes no sense. You're like, hold on, what? How did this happen? But you haven't been checking what you've been spending, so you don't know. Whereas if you check it, like let's say for 7 days or, a month, you can see patterns and spot it. So same way with the scales, like you mentioned, fluids and stuff like that is transient. It's not permanent. So if you eat a pizza today or a KFC bucket, it's going to have some effect on your weight tomorrow, not because you've suddenly put on 2 kilos of body fat overnight. It doesn't happen like that. So it's understanding. So you might say, okay, let me just see for a month, and then you kind of spot a trend. You're like, okay, now that makes more sense. But you're right, if you just step on it one time, that panic sets in, like, oh my gosh, what the hell? Put on like 10 kilos. But again, we understand that stuff is not permanent most of the time. So yeah.
I think I didn't actually go into sabotage mode, but when I came back, me and my wife went to, I forget where it was now, somewhere in the Caribbean. We came back after 10 days away. I genuinely put on a stone.
Really?
It was insane.
Was it rum or just everything?
It was a number of things. Yeah. There was definitely beverages. They had a barbecue on the beach at like 10 a.m. So like post a buffet breakfast, I was like having a burger a day.
Nice.
And then into lunch, which obviously again another buffet. Then obviously I treated myself to a coffee and cake because there was like a on-site, basically Starbucks type thing that was knocking out free stuff. Oh mate, it was fantastic. But
is Cancun all inclusive?
Oh yeah.
You should do an Akinic before and after Cancun. I'm interested.
I'm doing one before because I want to try and beat that body fat.
Yeah.
Afterwards, I might delay it a little bit.
I should do one. No, I should do one. Just to see.
Well, this is the other thing. This is, I kind of, if I did Copenhagen, I would land on the Saturday and then fly to Copenhagen on Thursday.
Okay,
to
so
do high rocks.
So you have to be sensible.
Me and my wife always train when we go away anyway.
That's good.
So we always train. Yeah. So that was me training. I still put on a stone. that just gives you a bit of an insight.
Like in and out section.
But so yeah, it's going to be an interest. But if I sign up for it, then it might be a little bit of, just holds me back a little bit.
Cancun training, we need a vlog for that. Running on the beach in Cancun.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a thing. It could be a thing. Now we're going to go on to number 4, which is kind of, well, it's actually 2 in 1 really, but including healthy options.
Yep.
But also, arguably for me, one of the most important, which is daily movement of some description, whatever that may be. So do you have any, I guess, healthy options of your kind of festive favourites, should we say?
My wife will tell you no. To be fair, I think for me, veg is an easy key thing. Like if you can just have some veg on your plate, the volume from there is just gonna help you just be more just fuller. And I don't think anyone who has a decent amount of veg on their plate will ever really struggle with that. My problem for me is I just can't cook veg well, so that's my issue. But in terms of in terms of healthy options, the thing is, I always tell people now, we live in a time now where there are so much more healthy alternatives. And when I say healthier, less calorific, etc. Back in the day, you walked into a supermarket, you didn't have many options. Whereas now, there's endless options. Like it's crazy how many options there are for like a low calorie perspective. So I think it is a lot easier. I think what you mentioned earlier, planning is a key thing. It is literally all about planning. And that's why I speak to people all the time. It's about planning. Like you don't want to be reactive and on the day, because when you're reactive is when we usually make bad decisions. So if you're having to be reactive and think, oh, what should I grab? Chances are it's not always going to be something, that goes towards your purpose. So it's about planning ahead. So if you are knowing, okay, this is what I'm going to have, then you can now think, okay, what is an alternative that might be better whilst I'm still having the same, pigs in blankets, etc. I'm sure there's probably a low calorie pigs in blankets somewhere out there. Yeah, so those things. But I think for me, veg, if I have a decent amount of veg on my plate, I'm good. When I struggle is when I don't have a decent amount of veg on my plate, when I don't plan, when I'm just like, okay, just pop this chicken breast in, just put it out. There's no veg there. But if you always have veg, you're going to have volume, you're going to feel fuller, you're not going to feel the need to kind of ram your plate with, more carbs, etc. But yeah, that's the top one. And then for drinks, again, sodas, there's 0 calorie one, so that knocks it out. And obviously some people have, what's that drink that people always have? Even like with gin, there's like low calorie gin and stuff like that. So I think, for Christmas parties and stuff like that, there's endless options for people to still have their fix, but still kind of coincide with their goals. So I think just being planning ahead and being, adventurous in terms of cooking and stuff like that, like I think it makes a massive difference in terms of being able to still stick to your plan, but not feel like you're missing out on anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's definitely two big ones for me where, I guess there are some healthier options that creep in, but portion sizes and just portion control throughout the course of the day has to be one. Not going back for seconds and thirds, just having as tempting as it is, but just understanding actually when I don't need any more of this, it would just be pure greediness if I did. So portion size would be the first one, but actually the second one would be how I start my day, because it's been something in the past where, I don't know, let's say there's, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example, cake or something sweet hanging around the kitchen when you get up in the morning. I'll be making a coffee, might have a slice of cake for breakfast. But then straight away, I'm chasing that almost dopamine of like something sweet for the rest of the day. It's already kick-started me. Whereas actually if I have something really sensible for breakfast, a higher protein, something that's going to be good for satiety levels, or actually daily early movement in the morning, something that really just starts my day right, I actually find that for the rest of the day I'm in a much better place.
Set up 100%. I mean, you definitely don't want to be having Fox's biscuits for breakfast or celebration.
Do you know what? Fox's biscuits, how do I forget that? That's exactly what I would be having.
And they're around the house, even like I said, even at work, just where you come and just pack. Right, and you're right, is once you have that first one, again, it can just kind of set you up on that day. Like even like I said with the movement, I know a lot of people have like daily non-negotiables, so so they're going to be in 10K steps a day, like regardless or whatever. And I think having that as like a set helps you set up mentally for the day. So if there's something that in the morning, you're going to do, again, something simple, but it's a trigger for your body to think, okay, this is the direction of the path that we're going in. And again, having, like I said, a plan B and a plan C. So if you can't do that, there is something else you can do throughout the day to kind of keep that going. I think it is very key. And again, we keep coming to words, consistent. It allows you to be consistent, because ultimately that's what's going to allow you to be successful throughout the festive period, is doing consistent actions that lead to a positive return. It doesn't matter if it's not every day, but as long as there's some consistency over time, you're gonna be good in the festive period.
I think people really underestimate the walking thing.
Oh yeah.
When you think about it, two ways you can kill two birds with one stone here. So when we think about like NEAT, when you think about non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and how much that plays a role in actually your daily energy expenditure. Like it's a huge part of it.
Massive.
But that, and actually being able to tie that in with potentially family and friends going out and doing certain, it may shock people to understand that actually you haven't always got to meet friends and drink alcohol. You could meet friends if you got the dog, whatever, going out. You could go somewhere for a nice walk. It's perfect for that time.
London's perfect for that as well.
100%.
The Christmas market, so you could easily do that as an activity. Like we always do something where we go to Covent Garden and we just walk around London. So we usually walk from Covent Garden, walk across in South Bank. But again, there's a whole day where we still have like a little bite to eat, like maybe 1 or 2 drinks, but mixed in with some sort of physical activity where it's not, like, right, we're not doing freaking squats in the middle of the street, but it is, do you know what I mean? It is some form of exercise where it feels, you feel good. So it's 2 in 1, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think you're right. That the steps thing is massively underrated. Even a lot of time with steps, I always laugh when people say, "Oh, metabolism's slowed down. That's why I'm not losing as much as I used to." But then their lifestyles change. They don't walk; they drive everywhere now. So before, where they were getting train, walking, getting the bus, because now they drive everywhere. They don't do anything. They don't walk as much. Yeah, that contributes to that. So yeah, the steps thing is it's an easy win. Like we say all the time, it's an easy win.
100%. And with the alcohol thing you mentioned about having like lower calorie options for mixes and stuff, the other thing is definitely hydration alongside it, which is something that I wish I'd learned a long time ago, because it actually just really reduces that need to just keep drinking for the most part for me. We know rum and ginger is going to be the main kind of, I guess, tipple for you. Is there anything else, or is it just the rum and ginger?
You know, I've tried. Like, there's cocktails I like, but in terms of like when you order me a drink, they're like, what do you want? I'm like, and then it's like rum ginger beer. It's just I've tried everything else, and I just can't. Although I had a bit of gin on holiday and I did really like it. It was a strawberry one, so I kind of mixed with a bit, and it was actually good. But I don't. It's just it feels okay. I feel good. It doesn't feel. You mentioned this actually, because when you drink, do you drink to quench your thirst, or do you drink because you enjoy the taste? Or what's your?
I think it could be both.
Okay.
Third one I put on there is I think I associate certain situations or certain times of year with alcohol. Therefore, it becomes almost a habit for me, I think.
So that habit thing is so key. But no, it's just like I said, I think same thing with Christmas. I like to drink because it's that festive period. But I think you're right, it's retying that in. It's okay, what is it about that I drink with family? But they're not going overboard, because I don't need to be on that spectrum where it ruins the rest of my week. And now with kids, hangovers aren't even worth it. It's the worst. Listen, it's the worst every, with a test. It's just, so it's not even worth it. So it's just about finding that point where you're still enjoying it, still socializing it, but it doesn't detract from what I need to do for the rest of the week, which keeps me in check.
Yeah. And then I guess it ties quite nicely into the last one, which is number 5. Actually enjoy it. Enjoy yourself a little bit.
100%.
And we, very briefly before we come on this, we were talking about it, and we said it actually just could be physically and mentally the thing that you really, really need to rest, recover, feel rejuvenated coming into the new year, right?
100%. And that's the thing. I think it's finding, again, we talked about it, but coming back to what it means for you. And I think if you're trying to, like, let's say someone who's training for an Ironman over Christmas and you see them doing this, you feel like, okay, I need to do that. No, it doesn't time with your purpose or what you're trying to do. So if you're someone who, enjoys having family around and stuff like that, is keeping all that stuff in check and still enjoying it. I think you're right. I don't know why human beings I guess that's how we are, but we take stuff to the extreme. So like, if we enjoy it, okay, we're going to go all the way in. Whereas we can still have fun in moderation. I guess the way society is going and stuff, we don't always do stuff in moderation. But when you look at it, like, you can still enjoy yourself in moderation. Like, life is short. I was talking, life is short. You don't want to be sitting back thinking, oh, I wish I did this, I wish I did that. So we do want to have these moments where we enjoy it and we can let our hair down, no pun intended, or stuff like that. But it's just about always, if something is more important, like a health and fitness goal is more important and more pressing at the moment, then if that's the case, prioritize that. If there is nothing that's that pressing, and being present, spending time with your family and friends is more fulfilling to you because it's recharging you and stuff like that, then, like I said, enjoy that and don't feel guilty about enjoying it, if that makes sense.
Love that. Love that. My last question for you is, would you prefer Christmas Day dinner or Boxing Day dinner?
Christmas Day. Because Boxing Day, you're like, again, you gotta say,
I'm disappointed.
Boxing Day, right? Boxing Day, the thing with Boxing Day is because you've already kind of been over it. That makes sense. Like Boxing Day, breakfast / lunch, brunch, 100% goated to Christmas one. But Christmas dinner is like, you've been waiting for all year, all day. You know what I mean? So, Christmas Day.
Man.
You prefer the leftovers.
I feel like that Boxing Day dinner just hits differently.
It does hit differently. It does. But I think Christmas Day is just like, you've been waiting, it's been cooking, like, and you've been waiting. By Boxing, you're like, okay. Oh, what we got today? Oh, that yesterday.
I don't know. I think there's something about it. I'm not sure what it is.
I'll try it this year, and I'll let you know. I definitely know that the leftovers in terms of lunch is because it's all set. You don't have to wait. There's no anticipation of cooking. It's there, so you literally come down, boom, boom, boom. Whereas Christmas Day, you have to kind of wait for stuff to cook. So, but yeah, I'll let you know definitely this year. But so far, from memory, Christmas Day all day. All day. All day.
I'll wait for the Boxing Day. We'll see how we go.
All day.
Mate, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for coming
It's good
straight
to be
in
back-
off
good to
the
be
plane
back
as
on
well.
here. Yeah, man. Anything for you guys.
You heard that, Han, yeah? Well, there you have it. Episode 20 in the books, managing the festive period. I hope it's helpful. Like, comment, share as always, and we'll see you very, very, very soon.